We're going to start. Who's in the camera? Cheese. Okay, we're going to do our streaming today, but we've got helpers. Al is the happiest person on the planet. Our youngest, or two youngest grandkids are with us today. And Maverick is here helping me out. This is Maverick looking at himself in the camera. And Lori's got Al in her arms, who's our youngest grandkid. But he's as happy as can be, bouncing up and down. So anyways, we're going to draw a comic like this today. We've been having a fun day today, haven't we been? Have you been having fun? He's looking at his face appear and disappear in the camera. So that's going to amuse him for a while. Probably like 3 minutes. Okay. So yesterday we drew our little one-page comic. All the all the images for that. And then Maverick helped me out today, didn't you? That you colored that part. And so we scanned it, we put it in the computer, and after we scanned it, we of course did our typical post workup and turned our page into a properly organized comic book page, changed and modulated some of the panels, and also did a little cutout around the one figure that we drew, and now it's what you see. So we're pretty pleased with it, aren't we? You like that? The pizza fish? We're going to be doing this for a while. So yeah, we've had the two youngest kids with us today, so it's been fun. A little bit of balancing today. Grandpa powers are in effect. Grandpa powers. Okay, so we're gonna draw a picture with Grandpa.
Yeah.
All right, what do you want to draw with? You want to draw with crayon? What do you want to use? Does anybody have a one-page comic suggestion for Maverick? If you do, please put it in the comments, and we will be creating that. See that? I put the camera on here, and now you can see the paper. Look at, put your hand here. Look, see Grandpa's hand? Look in the picture. See my hand? Put your hand there. Whoa! Whose hand is that? Oh, we're right into it. Can I draw with you? Okay, so yeah, so today has been a fun day of. But it's also something that I get to talk about some of the challenges that present people when we're trying to create, and we've got little people that we're balancing around with us. It's a red pen. You want to take the lid off? Here you go. And the trick is to try to figure out how to adjust your workflow slightly so that you can still have some measure of productivity, but at the same time still have to keep our young people occupied. And cough over everything. We're going to be disinfecting Grandpa's studio, aren't we? Want to try this one?
Win.
Yeah, okay. So, that's the challenge, right? Maverick plays lead guitar for an awesome puppet band. Is that true? Do you? This is my little guy that's in the spectrum, so he is engaging in a lot of fun things, and we had some yummy time, and he calls me dad and calls grandma mom, he calls mom and calls dad and not that one. That one's too sharp. You're gonna hurt your fingers on that one. How about this one again? Yeah, it's a good one. So sometimes some of the fun is and this is a project I used to get into. I'm gonna move this up so people can see your awesome art. One of the fun things that I used to get into with the kids when they were little is that we would draw things together and try to create something out of that. Or I wouldn't get too worked up over if they drew over my pictures. And I know that sounds almost anathema to some people's thinking. It was my turn? Thank you. Okay, what am I going to draw? How about I draw Maverick? Want me to draw Maverick?
No.
No? Can I draw you?
Yeah.
All right, thanks, buddy. So, nope, not that one. That's a pointy one. How about, hold on, let me help you out.
Huh?
No, I want to use the pointy ones. We don't have to keep using new ones each time. You can still keep using the ones you got too. There's
I'm
another one.
mine.
Oh, it's mine. I didn't suggest Muppets because of legal reasons.
Whoa, Wayne.
He takes the lid off of Mark and goes, "Wow!"
Whoa, Dad.
Yeah. So some of the fun is to try to figure out how to
Wayne.
put something together, despite the fact that you've got somebody coughing all over you and everything, and at the same time, you want to get some practice in, and ideally, this is a great time for practice, as opposed to some sort of finished thing. This is how I've always structured it. I did this with my own kids, and now I end up doing this. Oh, did you monkey it up? Did you get some black on it? It's all right. We will survive that. I used to do this with his mom when she was little, and now I have to deal with some of the antics with the little ones themselves. We have 5 grandkids, so in order to try to help the kids out, we're going to get some time where you start scribbling, you start playing with ideas and doing stuff, and then you see where it takes you, and don't get too caught up and hung up in what you're doing or worried about the preciousness of your art. I think that for me, that's Kripa says a lot. That's something that I had to take some stock of.
You're Dad.
Yeah, I'm a dad. I had to take some stock of that a long time ago
It's
because
mine.
that's your pen. Yeah. If I was ever going to get any projects done, I had to work at night, or I had to figure out a way to engage in stuff while the kids were still around me. And
Mine.
that's yours. You made that, Mark. That's good. I like it. You want to color this guy? So that's the I love this. See, running the Mav Man. We're the hottest new radio duo. Mine every now and then. Hey, welcome to the show, everybody. Mine, his show. Mine. Yeah. So one of the things that I would do for myself is that I would take those opportunities when the kids are still up, but I got to get some creativity going, some of the flow going. This is how I would go about doing it. Is just sketching forms or practicing, and this is where it comes about understanding figures and understanding movement and understanding body and form and how and not getting too worked up about it or worked up about the end result, because at the end of the day none of this matters. It's just making marks, and it's practice. There was an interesting thing. Hans Hofmann, I refer to him sometimes, but Hans Hofmann was a teacher at the American School of Art in Long Island, New York, in the 1960s. And one of the things that he would say to his students is that he would come over and he'd look at their compositions and he'd draw over top of them, or he'd paint over top of them. And if students got upset, well, it's too bad, because they're there to learn. And in the course of learning, this isn't precious paintings. This isn't finished art. This is the journey. That's a really long line. And so with that journey is that you can't get too concerned about the polish and the finish of a thing, right? And so that's why my sketchbooks end up doing a lot of this, a lot of the image over image stuff, because at a certain point it just stops mattering, and then I'll explore things like layering. Like if I'm sitting down and I'm working on, I love that part. That's my favorite. That's my favorite part. And I'm working on a composition, or I'm working on trying new ideas about how to. We're fighting over who puts marks in this area. If I'm trying to figure out some things about an image that I'm working on, I'll take this opportunity to play with that. Like that's where, you try to take your scribbles and your marks and jointly the scribbles and the marks that the kids are putting down. Or thank you. Or Pat, can we cover our mouth still? Remember, we put our hand up.
Put it up.
Yeah, I like that. So this is an opportunity to make some art. Do you want to play with your toys?
Yeah.
Okay, you don't mean up, you mean down. Can I have the lid? Thank you. Here, you got your stuff right here. Don't you stay nearby Grandpa, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
High five.
Woo!
Woo!
Yeah.
High five and a thumbs up. One more.
Mine.
Woo!
Mine.
Do you want to give a thumbs up to the camera?
Yeah.
Thumbs up.
Okay.
Tiny little hand sticks in there.
Yeah.
Good. You're doing good.
Yeah.
This way, this side. Put your thumbs up here. Yeah, a little more, right here, Boop. Good stuff.
Boo.
Okay, you gonna play with your toys here?
Wait.
You still want to color?
Wait.
Okay, we're coming back to color. When it comes to trying to figure out like your scribbles and your sketches, and when it comes to trying to figure out, just even simple things like anatomy and trying to sit down and figuring out the structure of a foot or whatever that is. This is for me has always been an opportune time to do that. And if that allows me to let go of the polish on a thing and just don't bang that thing on the paper because you're going to wreck it. You won't have it anymore. This is the time that allows me to do that. Is it the most polished looking thing we've ever seen? No. And is it thank you again. Look. Cover our mouth when we cough. Cover our mouth. Make a face at me. But that's the moment. Sometimes we need to take those moments. And if this is something that forces us, don't do that. If this is something that forces us to consider those things, to sit down for a moment and to worry about sketching out, a foot and start thinking about all those parts of a foot or a hand or how our gestures or how things move or this is a good chance to do that. And this is one of those opportunities that I think more people need to take. So the whole idea of sitting down and trying to figure out how you can do some workups, how you can do some imagery, how you can take all of these things that you scroll through social media to look at and all these things that are inspiring to you. And this is an opportunity to sit down with a sketchbook, have that on whatever device you're looking at it on or whatever that is, just sitting there, and then start looking at those compositions and scribbling out those materials together. Whatever it takes in order to facilitate your growth as a creator is to be embraced. All done? Off you go.
What boy?
Woo! One more. Okay, you gonna go play?
Yeah, okay.
All right. I love you. Stay right there. You got your whole pile of stuff there.
Nope.
Pick up all your superheroes. So I think that the other thing that sort of affords you is because of that chaotic aspect of it, right?
Yeah.
Your chaos.
How?
That chaotic aspect of having to occupy a little person while you're doing whatever you're doing. You'll find combinations and you'll find different things that you might not have come across otherwise. Like it's almost like there's a sort of subversive element to it, that there's this chaotic, you want to make marks and you want to put things down and you got to get your draw on or whatever it is. And, but whatever's holding you up and whatever the shortfall is. Now I'm referring in this context to the kids and having the kids in the lab. But the same thing applies to is if you've got pets, if you've got a physical challenge or something that's holding you up and not letting you, get about or not letting you use things as you would. My hands move around a lot, but this is the shape of my hands. I have neuropathic extension in my hands because of the same thing that is the nervous system disorder that caused my seizure, gave me diabetes. So one of the things I had to figure out was how to work with tools with this sort of finger that is not entirely the most cooperative thing. And it's because your nerves, the signals don't get across as well as they used to, or the muscles are worn out because of the fingers moving too much, with a tremor or something, so that the muscle breaks down and then it draws in, it distends, right? So then it becomes a little bit useless. So I had to figure out the shortfalls of that and how to be able to draw with these sort of winky fingers. But there you go, right? What does this say? The art combination between you two looks like Steranko. That's fantastic. That might be my favorite. That's getting a star. Look out. Hello, Gary. Hello. So yeah, so that's why my second youngest grandchild there, Maverick, wanted to look at his face in the camera and hang out with Grandpa for a second. Well, my wife is equally disrupted today with our youngest grandchild, who she is now holding and carting around the house. So yeah, it's been an interesting thing. But the kids are they've got things to do today, and so we've got helping out with the two little ones, and then we've got two other kids with us for the weekend, and this is the way it is. So I was pretty pleased. So now that I got a second without the little guy in my lap, I was pretty pleased with how this page went, because this page was done today juggling Maverick in my lap. And so the finished imagery all on a sheet of paper, and then I used Copic, a couple of Copic markers, which I never do because I don't like this. I don't like bleed through. And but we managed to take those images and to try to carve out a page. Is it the most culturally sensitive page? Maybe not, but it's done out of love. From Dee Dee's suggestion during our conversation, she piped up and said, "Fish on a pizza. That's an idea for a page." Okay. So I did. So I hopefully it came out all right. Anyways, back to the thing I was saying. As the kids, which are now all grown-ups, and it doesn't matter how old they get, they're always, they always need a hand, even as adults. So we're still in that position, but with the little people, and when their parents were little people, there was juggling there too. And so for me to be able to figure out the things I needed to figure out creatively to be able to get work done, I had to learn to do some juggling, and which has worked out fine. I got absolutely no problem with it. But whatever chaotic factor enters into your world, and there's all kinds of disruptions, right? There's all kinds of things that sort of get in the way or get under the skin. You got challenges in your relationships, or challenges in engagements, or challenges of whatever it is out there. It's everybody, Paul Pete's asking for a hug. Gene Luan's giving out hugs here. Gave a hug to Gary. Spread the love. So uncomfortably long hug for Paul. Hey, come on, give me a hug. So a lot of the stuff that I've done over the years, and I've done quite a few different things. I've had to do in some pretty ridiculously chaotic moments. And as getting divorced, or being a dad, and then being getting divorced, and then being a single dad, and then as eventually I met Lori, and we brought our households together, and then so now that we've got our kids together, and all the things going on as they grow, teenagers, and then 20s now, and my oldest is 31, so it's it's just a long process of figuring out ways with your divided attention, in the context I'm using is with those kids. But the same thing applies with the challenges of a work-life schedule, work-life creativity schedule. The same challenges present themselves with work-life creativity relationships. There's all kinds of things that come into play. Jim's making some eye contact on an uncomfortably long hug for Paul. Gary wants a nose hug. It's called a kiss, pal. It's called a kiss, or an Eskimo kiss. That's what that is. Gary's asking for Eskimo kisses, everyone. So the modality that I've always employed is to focus less in the moment on I'm clearly not going to do the work that requires the finish, the polish, this is the stuff that's to be presented, in the sense that if I'm looking at a detailed drawing, or if I'm looking at any sort of actual finished physical composition that I don't want to have with this kind of chaotic, or as Jim calls it, a Steranko looking image, then for me, it's it's one of those things where I'm gonna use that opportunity for workups, or I'm gonna use that opportunity for doing the base application of surface or something like that. Or if I'm working on a canvas, or if I'm working on any kind of image that if it's just making some marks on a surface in order to build up some texture or something like that, that's a great time to do it, because they're great at that. Or if it's, and another thing I would suggest is this, and I don't know how well this is going to help people, depending, and it's all about your own mental wheelhouse, but if there's a medium you haven't tried before, try it in the heart of chaos, right? Try it in that moment of emotional challenge, or that moment of, occupied by other bodies, or try it in that time where it's been a long, tiring day. You're sitting there on your own, your headspace is just sort of processing and things. That's the time to scribble, to just scribble. And because in that scribbling, in that actualization of getting that tension and that energy out of your hand, and just putting it down on the surface and not being overly concerned about its finish, you're very gonna likely find something in that, some aspect of a direction or a movement or an application that you're going to look at and go, oh, I want to try more of that, but in a more finished context. So there's an avenue to explore. Paul says, my 11-year-old was just out in the porch burning paper. We don't have the energy to intervene. Window, bucket, water, drop. That's it. 4 steps, pal. 5 steps. Fill, window, bucket, water, drop. It's so easy. Parenting 101 with Christopher Renson. Drop a bucket of water on the pyromaniac. Yeah, what would be really bad, not to say that that's not bad, but what would be really bad if he's taking your art out of your hands and gone out on the porch to burn it, because then that kid is just a critic, and critics are terrible. What are you doing? No, we're playing in here. Do you want to play in the toy room?
No.
Oh, okay. All right, go to it. So yeah, so today's stream isn't very long. Hold on 1 second. I mean, where? You know where? Right here. Yep, in there. Right on. Up you go. Right, get down to business. Right back. Oh, fine, he says. So yeah, so today's stream is not going to be very long because I've got things going on, but I just want to touch base. There's a number of 1-pages that I've got lined up for release, just because I'm operating at a level of productivity right now that is allowing me to get a number of things done. I'm almost completely finished a book, aside from the 1-page stuff. I'm on number 40. I'm done 48 of the 50 pages that I had objectively set out for myself at the start of the year to put together the next 1-page extravaganza. So I'm at this point right now, and here's the big request of the day. If there's a couple of voluntolds out there that would be interested in taking part in sitting down with me in the next week and going through whatever pages that I have together at this point, and to help me pick and choose about ones that you think work and ones that you might think you're better to just hold off or wait and rework, and they didn't quite hit the mark. That would help me out. It's in that engagement and that communication with others on a project like that would be of benefit. And if you are interested, don't tell me here. Send me a direct message through Instagram or Facebook. And and let's figure it out. It'd be fun to have it'd be fun to have that engagement. Interesting topic. I have real difficulty creating when I'm not in a good headspace. You wash your hands?
No.
Hey? Yeah, it's so true, Paul. I mean, that's so absolutely true. It's one of those things where
No. I know that is no good. I know up. Then.
you want to do it now?
Okay.
Okay, let's go. So I'll be back 1 second.
Yucky. Wet.
Wet. Oh, so you did do it. All right, Ryan. Okay, playing.
Okay.
Go ahead, play. Play your guts out. Nice. Okay. Yeah, see? Gotta be able to take those. If this is a prime example of just pure chaos and you try to make something together of it, this I can't illustrate it any more clearly. When you're in that wrong headspace, when you're in that thing where you've got a lot on your brow, you've got a lot going on, you've got no real facility in you to sit down and work. You've gone through some challenges and some hardships, and we all have those, and we all go through those. But art is integral to a lot of us. Art is a part of our equilibrium. And to be entirely honest, I truly believe there is a separation between people that are interested in doing stuff. I like to draw the occasional time. Well, when's the last time you drew? Well, I drew at my uncle's cottage last summer. Okay, you're not in that club. if that's your case, you're not in the Crazy Artist Club. The Crazy Artist Club is there's a real thing. I truly believe there's a real psychological component to a lot of creative people, and whatever their avenue of creativity is, if they don't do it, it doesn't help them mentally, spiritually, emotionally. And so when that good headspace, like Paul has mentioned, is affecting you, and you can't sit down and create, it's a completely natural thing. But there's a truth about a lot of creative people that your equilibrium isn't going to balance unless you have the ability to just take a crayon and just whatever. It doesn't have to have a result. It's not anything. It's just the act of doing it. What is it, Jim? Jim's right there with you, Paul. Right on. The Cursed Artist Club. Yeah, that sounds like a good name for it. Why not? Because there's a real component to creativity that you're going to need to do it in order to feel that sort of sense of self. That, like, I use the term equilibrium. There might be a better term for other people, but there's so many things that come up in our way, in our lives, and yet at the same time, whether it's obligations or whether it's timetables or due dates or whatever it is, you still have to have some degree of follow through. Sure. But what I'm referring to more so than that is there still has to be some degree of getting that agitation out of yourself through your creative vehicle, through that means of communication that artsy creative types use in order to help get that mental level going on. They espouse these ideas, they espouse these creative images, they get their dark stuff onto their dark drawings, whatever it is, right? That's important to do. And sometimes it's important to do like this. What is it? Jim has said, we're here to lift each other up when we hit those mental road detours. Yes, indeed. Oh, and I corrected. Yeah, it's we, not ER. Siri. So, yeah, and if, like Jim has just said, if there's a way that we can figure out supportive means for doing that for each other, that's great. I mean, I got a bunch of comments yesterday from people, and this is what started me on this headspace, and then finding out first thing this morning that the little ones are coming over and having to juggle our days accordingly, because Lori still had work to do, and she's still had some meetings that she's had to attend. So it's been particularly hard on Lori's timetable today. If I put aside stuff I'm working on in the studio and work on it later, okay. But because let's be honest, I'm going to draw anyways at some point. But the only thing objective thing I had for today was to finish to just do the computer work on a fish on a pizza pie, and I did that with a baby on one knee and a toddler on the other. Both of them held with one arm. Yeah, so you figure out means to do that. But yesterday, this week, Wednesday night, I came home from a really positive event, but an hour and a half later, I had a seizure, and it really kicked the holy cheese out of me. And so yesterday when I came on, I apologized that I was just feeling as tired and as worn out as I am, and I've still got scratchy voice. That's one of the ways that, you can always tell when I'm tired because my voice scratches up. But I got a whole bunch of comments from people through the course of the day that were really positive, and like a few direct messages, and I really appreciated those. Those really helped me out. And so, like Jim just alluded to, I think it's a really valuable thing that we all, as creative people, lift each other up. What is it you said, Jim? We're here to lift each other when we hit those mental road detours, and that was a rough one for me. I really do feel that when we are strong artistically, can reflect physically. In other words, I feel like when I'm not on a project being creative, I feel more vulnerable. Bingo. Yep. And then, of course, Paul concurs, Jim, that you're sexy when you're working. He's working right now, therefore he's not vulnerable, so you can tell him he's sexy or not. Yeah, I think there's absolute truth to that. I think that when you aren't engaged and when your processes aren't working for you, that sort of extra external need for interaction and communication through whatever creative means that helps you spit out and process some of those things. And when you're not doing that, it can leave you feeling off balance, and it can leave you feeling a little, maybe a little sensitive, or a little thin-skinned, or just, anxious, or whatever it is, because there has to be some degree of recognition. And this is a big problem that I have with the modern education system in the Western world here, and how they really seem to be losing sight of the importance of creative expression. Oh, thanks, Paul. That's nice of you, man. It's Sir Kenneth Robinson, and if you have an opportunity, look up his TED Talk, Sir Ken Robinson. He's passed away during COVID, unfortunately, but he was such a powerful voice about, there are people that are just creative people. And when I say creative, it's not under any pretentious, well, so-and-so's a creative. It's none of this nonsense that I'm referring to. There are people that it's intrinsic to their personality and their character that they're going to make something. They're going to dance. They're going to sing. They're going to sculpt. They're going to take pictures. They're just, and then there's a turn of that screw as well, where you are so engaged in music and you're so caught up in the rapture of music, or you're so caught up in the physicality of interacting with art that you just see it and you're in that space and you're absorbed. So that's the same thing, by the way. You might not be making the marks, but it's such an intrinsic part of who you are. We need to value that more and appreciate that aesthetic more, and to engage and embrace it more. A lot of older European countries in their earlier, 1,000 years ago, up until just in the last couple of hundred years, art has been a trade. It has been looked at with the same aesthetic as craftsmen or tradesmen. Art in general, and when I say art in general, I mean I'm talking about the guys that chisel the hieroglyphics on the pillars, or I'm talking about, painters being taught by painters. You leave your formal education by 11 and you go into your artistic education in the studio or something. And so we had a long history of doing this in the world, and a long history of craftspersons, a long history of carrying on traditions. And with the last century, with this whole modernization and this fast turnover of technologies and processes and stuff, I tried to buy nibs this last week, little nibs to fit into my speedball handles, so that I could carve some linoleum in order to make some stamps, like in order to make some presses here, and I couldn't find nibs in art stores. I couldn't find linoleum, little cut pieces of linoleum in art stores. Forget about brayers, forget about ink. Now, thankfully, I have a lot of that stuff, because I've been collecting crap for years, but it's almost like it's just a disregarded or a dead thing. I realize that art stores need to be keeping a stock that sells. I get that. It's not, not foolish, but at the same time, that's sad. That's a sad thing. There's processes like Photoshop and the fact that you can do the dots on your imagery in Photoshop, that you don't need to go and buy Ben-Day sheets or Letraset sheets. That's fine because they don't make them. There are some small companies that are making them now. Those are cat toys, pal.
Your cat.
I know they're for the pet, but there's no pet down here. How about you play with your stuff? Sorry. No, don't open it. Don't take the bell out.
I don't get out.
It won't get out. It's for the cat. He likes it in there. Just roll it down the hall and listen to the sound it makes. That's what the cat likes. Go roll it down the hall. Throw it. Maverick gets incredibly dialed into certain things, and it's fantastic to watch. It's an enjoyable thing to see him turning over a cat ball because of the sound of the bell. You really, I love how watching people explore things. Frank cut up an eraser to make a stamp. Yeah, I've heard about that too, but clearly, like I did think about that because I'd heard that mentioned on, I think it was Penny Putch's stream, that she said that that's something that she does. Good throw. Right down the hall. Long haul. Who cares? It's a cat toy. She's used erasers and made stamps from those. And so I couldn't find any large erasers. I looked for those too. They didn't have any big. So I might go to Scholastic. And the other reason I might go to Scholastic is you've seen me draw with those really thick elementary school pencils.
Pee up. Pee up.
Up, please. Not pee up. Up, please. All right, here we go. Maverick's here. Hey, everybody.
Whoa, Dad.
Oh, yeah. So you're going to color more?
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, it's tricky, but to find out that certain creative processes, certain outlets of expression are lost like that, it's kind of sad. There you go. Okay. All right. So it's a challenge. I'm not keeping up with things. I'm so sorry. Gary says the only difference between a cat toy and a kid toy is in your mind. The cat won't burn down your house. There we are. There's Paul. I don't think. Yeah, they will. They will. Just give him a chance. Not for lack of trying, Paul. Gary says. I cut up a stamp to make an eraser. Didn't work as well. Yeah, there's all kinds of different ways that we can go about things. I've been I have wood carving tools, and so I've been using old 2x4s. And I've cut a bunch of those down into sizes, and I've put some images on those, and I started to. Would you like to go blow your nose?
Hey, Andrew.
Hey, go get a Kleenex and blow your face.
No.
Yep, Kleenex right there in the corner. Thank you.
Let's go.
I'm going. So, yeah, whatever those challenges are, whatever those things that. Might disrupt our moment. You got toys instead. Those are difficult enough in life, but I think that there is something to be said for that additional challenge of the necessitation of an outlet. The necessitation of being able to take whatever turmoil is going on inside of us and get it out. And so when we don't feel like we're in that headspace, or when we're feeling a little overwhelmed by whatever, or when we've got a whole bunch of things that that's funny. When we've got a whole bunch of things that are on top of us that are keeping us from being able to sit down and whatever degree of fastidiousness that we require for us to work. sometimes we just don't have it. And yet at the same time, you still need to do something, because if you don't, this is my point. I highly recommend you do, because I know that for me, if I don't, it sits there. It's, and maybe this, I might not be normal, but it sits there for me, right? And Frank says, right now, my own funky mind is disrupting me. I should make some art today after lunch. That's how I'm going to read things from now on. Yeah, whatever's going on, whatever challenges we're having, whatever processes, whatever umbrages we've taken, whatever slights we felt from people around us, whatever package didn't come in the mail that we're really waiting for, whatever it is, as superficial as it ever could be, to the fact that there are true impacts in our lives. And some of those true impacts in our lives are things that we can't necessarily talk to a lot of people about, because of however we're dealing with whatever we're dealing with. And that's completely understandable. But it's also, Frank says, that's exactly how he sounds. I like those guys. This is what Jay's playing with. Copyright infringement. It's the Baymax and the boy. There you go. I collected as many of the Disney Infinity figures as I could for my grandkids for the Wii. And because, yes, it's fun to play the Infinity when you can have remotes that stay working. But they're also great as just toys. So Frank hasn't received a very important thing from the mail, all the way from Russia, Frank. There's some conflict going on, Frank. That might be holding it up. Trapped in customs somewhere. Shivering. Yeah. So I don't know if this helps anybody. I don't know if this and also, by the way, this doesn't, my rambling today doesn't change the fact that if anybody has one-page comic ideas, hit me with them and I'll do them tonight. Like I'll do one tonight after people are asleep. Frank says, Baymax, I want to get that figure, but they sold out quick. I've been buying all of these in at flea markets and things like that. I haven't bought all these. I didn't buy any of these in the store because I connect to things so much later in life than anybody else. So we got a Wii U last a year and a half ago. Nice sound. I like that. So the other thing. Okay, if anybody has any more feedback, feel free to spit it out. If anybody else has any thoughts towards this, or if there's anything and here's another thing I'm going to offer before I get into the next part of something I want to talk about. In the brief time that I've been coming online, I have noticed a couple of challenges that a couple of people have gone through at different times. And just because you can tell in how we go about posting or how we go about expressing ourselves. I have no problem if anybody ever needs to just reach out and say, hey, I could just have somebody to yell at or yak with. I'm completely good for that. Please feel free to do so. Just the same as if there's anything I can ever, I got a pen and I don't know how to make which end do I work with? Give me, it's the same thing. Send me a message, and anything I can help out on that level, I will as well. Right, Maverick? Yeah. Paul has taken umbrage with a hug that Jim has given Gary. It was a little more sincere than yours. Yeah, but Gary didn't get the eye contact, Paul. The long, uncomfortable, lingering eye contact. Superhero mail order scams is going in the book, Frank. Now, I've got one I'm going to work on tonight, but superhero mail order scams is definitely going on the list. That's a fun one. I get a kick out of those opportunities. I like the one that Paul had about famous historical characters in a boxing contest. It was so wide open. Superhero mail order scams. Franklin D. Salazar, former president of the United States of America. The guys are climbing on me. Are they climbing on me? Okay. I want to talk about a couple of things. I've been working in this weird format. And this weird format, this landscape format that I'm working in, as opposed to what's traditionally called a portrait format. Portrait format, up, down, up, upright, okay? Landscape across. So I want to show you a couple of really awesome, cool examples I've seen in these. And I've picked up a few books specifically like this in the last couple of years. I'm going to star that from Frank, by the way. So there's a couple examples I want to show. And there's, sorry, just grabbed them now. What didn't you have already, Chris? Way to be prepared. So this is, hey! This is the Many Deaths of Scott Koblish. And the Many Deaths of Scott Koblish is this fantastic book by Scott Koblish, where it's a series of strips. And in these strips, here's the beauty of nature. Bird lands on rock, rock flattens sky. This entire book is just numerous examples of ways that Scott Koblish could die. Which sounds so very dark. And yet at the same time, what a fantastic way to get out some jitters, eh? What a fantastic way to get out whatever's going on in your, it's just something to scribble, something to do, and to put together some fun ideas to explore. Like this one spends over 2 pages, up, and away. And just, this is a brilliant book. If anybody has an opportunity to find a copy of this, it's a little hardcover book. It's got quite a few pieces in it. And they just hit one after another. But I highly recommend this book. And there's very few books that I'll just sit down and I'll leave handily available in the household, because as dark and as creepy, I've got grandkids that are getting into their teens now, and this is perfect young teen material to give them, because it's ridiculous, and at the same time it's it's got that sort of sardonic wit that a lot of those kids develop and try to set fires on your front porch with. But anyways, that's one to look at. The Many Deaths of Scott Koblish. This is Albert Monte's Universe book, and this is another one in that same format. I'm going to move this so that I don't spill it. This is another one in that exact same format. It's a nice thick bugger again. I bought some maple syrup bottles, the perfect size, and used them in my coffee. Only bought 2, or I'd overdo it. Frank, cut it out. If I made a death of Frank Salazar, it'd get dark real quick. Do it. Maple syrup overdose would definitely be one of those deaths. And you have just turned Paul Bate on to maple syrup in coffee. Oh my goodness, what have you done? This book is fantastic. I believe it's a number of smaller issues that were collected into a larger one. But this is his ongoing story that runs through time, and it has the lead character changes over the course of it. You start following different people in subtle different ways, and look at this. But there's these fantastic moments, like, I want you to create the universe, Thomas, and sign it with my name. Can I think about it? Just great. But it's a fantastic book. This is another one of those books where I look at it and go, this is just pure imagination splitting on a page. And this is the kind of book that comes from scribbling in duress, right? This is the kind of book that where the notions that you're going to put together and the empathetic moments that you're going to have, because you're trying to reduce the stress and pressure and just spit things on the paper just because there's or whatever method. I knew a guy, I had a ceramics teacher when I was in school. He carried small clumps of ceramics in his pocket, which sounds, like a joy for laundry, but he would carry this ceramic and this clay in his pocket, and he'd as he's going through the day, he'd put his hand in his pocket and he'd take it out and he'd fidget about with it with his thumb, and then whenever he went anywhere near the shelf in the pottery room, or as soon as he put something together that Okay, that's something I could work with. He'd just put it on the shelf.
Wait.
And eventually he'd have a firing of all of these small little reliquary things.
Wait.
But what it allowed him is that engagement that he required. But at the same time, it helped him to deal with the stresses and anxieties of his day. To me, that's always been an absolutely brilliant example of this type of thing. Coffee and Maple Syrup is a working title of my memoir. Frank's going to be so super successful, people, because of the fact he's already plotting a memoir. Okay, a couple other things in this format. There is, of course, well, there's a few different ones that I got. There's some comics that came out from Zuda, a number of different little horror books, and these are just comic books in this format. And they're a lot of fun. This is a Wild West werewolves. You know, how can that go wrong? Well, unless you're in the Wild West. High Moon. Brilliant. Gallagher and Ellis. Fantastic book. Got it on sale. Mickey Mantillo has put out A Diary of a Quarantine, which is just page-by-page illustrations for the first month of the quarantine. Back when we thought it was only going to be a month. And picked that up from an online thing. This is somebody that most people might not have heard of. His name is Jean Girard, or Mobius. And this is his 40 Days book. And this is a book or an illustration a day for 40 days. And there's some notes and some writing and just playing with line work and allowing himself a moment to just put some marks on paper instead of having to have some objective project with a narrative. He just went for the image instead. And yet at the same time, you can see this interrelationship between all of these images set in this contextual frame that starts to develop as a narrative. But that's free form, allowing your psychology to just spill itself out. And there's a real joy to that. Frank carries RPG dice in his pocket and plays with them. I like to spin them and roll them. There's all kinds of stress, anxiety things that you can have in your pocket that enable you to take away that tension. The next two are big ones. These are larger books that I'm going to show you. There it is, and one more that I'm looking for. That for whatever reason I don't see. Oh, here we are. I'm so sorry. One sec. This is the last ones to show you. And then I'm going to end on Simon Stellag. And if people don't know who Simon Stellag is, you're in for a real treat with all of these things. And I hope people don't mind this. This is, I know this is off the norm from how I usually engage on the stream. So I hope people don't mind that I'm doing this. Jim says, Chris, can you explain the maple syrup backstory between you and Frank? I've never really asked. Frank is obsessed with maple syrup, and I'm Canadian.
Hey.
So Philip and myself and anybody up north that Frank, can you explain? Jim, that's the forward in my memoir, Frank says. Wonderful. Frank is just enamored with maple syrup and just enamored with things of Canada. And coming from Texas, that's maybe we feel like we're exotic up here. There really is very little difference between where I am and where any of you are. The Western world's the Western world. It's just maybe the diet changes, the dietary things change. Okay, this is John Chad's book, Leo Geo. Okay, and this miraculous journey through the center of the earth. It's a hardcover. Okay, it's not very thick. Okay, it's thick enough. Frank loves Canada. So this book, okay, I can't show you all of each image at once because this book spans across the space of every page. Shall we start at the beginning? Welcome to the book. Here we go. And then he starts to go down a ladder. Here's the title. Okay. And every subsequent opening of a page is a different aspect of him. So you turn the book to face you, and this entire book is him going further and further underground, and all the adventures and things that he experiences and discovers and sees on his way down. So this is one of those fantastic theme books that you just, when you come across it and you're like, oh, what did I think of that? That's so. Leo Geo by John Chad. This is The Pearl of Pandaria. This is Sean Galloway. A lot of people know Sean Galloway's work from his pinup stuff or his Saturday morning cartoon drawings that he does on Instagram. Paul says, sorry, let me catch up. Paul, do you roll the dice to make decisions? 15 or higher, you buy 2 bottles of maple. Frank says, I would, but I might turn into a Batman villain like Two-Face with his coin. I love Canada. And then Jim says, Texar, Canada. Wonderful. Sean Galloway does something in his art. Back to this Pearl of Pandaria. It's an anthropomorphic book, but there's something that Jim does, or that Sean does in his mark making that I am now understanding how to do, and that's about changing the line color for your art. Like clearly that's a deep brown instead of a black. And then we've got black line art there, and then there's other areas where it's clearly dark blue. And so I've just started to learn how to figure out how to do this. And so I'm really hoping to step up some game and introduce some animated elements in the pages. Anyhow, this is a lot of fun. The coloring is wonderful. The adventure itself is wonderful. It deals with cultural materials in a large fantasy setting that crosses over into a sort of sword and sorcery RPG world that but it's done in this beautiful animation style. What's the matter, buddy? What happened?
I'm cool.
Oh, you're cool? Okay. I'm cool. This is Tridum and Bodhi. This is Pacific. This book is really, really fantastic. Nice thick sucker, hardcover. Tristan and Bodhi have done this book, which is about this ship on the open water. And it just, the world goes through a calamity. And in the course of going through this superstorm calamity, it changes, it fundamentally changes the structure of the surface of the world. And there's these fantastic dreamscapes in here. Like here he is in a nightmare scenario. And in his nightmare scenario, he dreams of the entire ocean being books and being swept up in the waves and waves of books, and amongst other things that happen in the course of this story. I highly recommend this book. It's really fun, a really good read. But that's that one. And what do you got? Okay, you're good. This is, do you want me to hold them? I can hold them and do this. The baby makes these noises. This is Echolands by J.H. Williams, Blackman, Stewart, and Klein. J.H. Williams is a guy that did Promethea with Alan Moore, and he did the Batwoman series in Detective Comics. And this is him losing his marbles. This is him taking everything he ever wanted to put it in a book and doing it. And but there's some truly scary creative choices that this man makes. But you can see just from the first page. And okay, the story is on both sides of the pages as we go through. But there's a couple of little things. This is chapter 1. There's a 1, right? You know, like it's one of those things where, like, it just adds up. It's just the imagery. I can't show you the other side of this page because it's gross. But Echolands is fantastic. There's some really, again, this is another fantasy role-playing world thing, all intercombined and made into a thing. And then the last two things to show you is this is Stuart Eminem with his wife Catherine. This is Stuart is possibly one of my, if not my favorite artists in comics today. And this is Grass of Parnassus. Catherine Eminem, Stuart Eminem. She writes, he draws. But this is a series of strips that they did. They would put out weekly over social media, and they just collected it all into a story. And just the simplicity of line, very similar to the Mobius material I showed you earlier. But the the story. There's a real abstraction to it. That's a fantastic image. That's a spaceship. A lot of fun. Anyways, it just goes and goes and goes and goes and goes. So it's a guy that enjoys hugging octopus monsters. Okay, that's enough. You gotta love stuff like that. And it came in a cool case. Okay, this is the last thing I'm gonna show, and then I'll probably sign off early today because we're juggling kids. This is The Electric State by Simon Stellenhag. And Simon Stellenhag's books, he's got a couple now. This is where they're making In the Loop, the series, the television series that's on Netflix or something. Is based on Simon Stellenhag's work. And it's text, but it's text with Mojave Desert, Pacifica, USA, spring of 1997. It's about a world where the sort of internet has destroyed us. This is a girl traveling with this little robot that she talks to. And they're traveling across the country where you can see all these bodies lying about beside their cars with their clothing spilling into the wind and the unfortunate remains of the people with these devices on their head, because they have officially submitting a fan request to have Paul Payton a guest on your show. Yes, please. If Paul's up for that, I'm definitely down for that. Definitely down to have Paul hang out with me here. That'd be great. So you can see all these people are dialed into the internet, and it stops them engaging in the world. And so this entire series is about these haunting images of society's disruption, and it's society's falling apart with these large ships and images because of people, their reality being subsumed by the internet, or the Ethernet, or I can't remember what it specifically is called. The Loop. I think it's called The Loop. And but there's fantastic things like big boy robots that are traveling the countryside because they're pointless because the restaurants are all closed. Nobody's eating. Everybody's dead. These are so good. And I just, I can't express enough to try things like this for sure. Simon Stellenhag. Yeah, I would love to have Jim. I would love to take that suggestion and have Paul Payton as a guest on the show. So I'll have to talk about that. There's a lot of Detective Perez business going on right now. Yeah, and that would definitely be something to chat about. Jim, can you use it? Yes, sirree. That'd be great for my second memoir. Paul, would you like to visit Texarkana? It's that'd be a fun show. I know that there's a lot of people that do streaming, and as much as the Artcaster guys, they're still relatively in the same part of the country. But there's a lot of people that do streaming podcasts that have people that are in diverse time zones and locations across the Western world, and there's an interesting idea that I'm keen to try. If anybody wants to do over conversations like that, that's a lot of fun. Okay, so that's about it for me today. Not a lot of drawn on my part except for this gorgeous piece of chaos, gorgeousness. But I've got 7 bookshelves in this house, and it's about time I started sharing some of what it is. So thank you, everybody, for engaging that and taking part. I'm going to get a 1-page out. I'll get that posted for tomorrow. I know this is a bit of change of pace, but just, that's what I'm talking about. You got to work through the chaos. You got to find ways to get things done. Well, that's very nice of you, Paul. Paul, let's DM each other and figure out getting you on the show if you're up for that. It's lots and lots and lots and lots of things going on. So I'm going to get back to the juggling. But I hope everybody has a good weekend. I'll be posting comic pages through the weekend, and I'll be doing if I get a chance, I might come on. I know that my oldest grandkid has said that they'd like to come on and do a thing again. And if people don't mind that chaos, then I'm cool with doing that because it's a lot of fun to try to keep up with them and their creative, pure spill of energetic expression. There's a beautiful thing about how unfettered people are. Frank, I'd love to have you on the show as well, sir. There's a beautiful thing about having unfetteredness in your creative exploration, and we lose that as we get older. We just lose it. Life. I don't know, it jades us or it makes us want to be more grown up or more professional or whatever other abstracts we apply to it. But yeah, it's if you have the opportunity to do stuff like that with chaotic people that set fires on front porches, then please do so. If you need to borrow some, I got lots. But yeah, so that's about it. I'm gonna get back to it. I've got some stuff I gotta get doing for my day job. Well, it's not day job. It's the other projects I'm working on with others. So yeah, but this has been a lot of fun. I hope people like the page that we posted today. I will be back for absolute sure on Monday at 2:00. If you're following me, if you're not subscribed, I put out notifications every day before I come on. So if you're subscribed, you can get those notifications, I guess. If you're not, you don't. I'm, again, not 100% sure how all that magic robot stuff works. So yeah, I hope everybody's doing good. I hope everybody's still creating. And I hope that if there's any way that I can be of service to help anybody out through anything that's challenging them in their day-to-day, let me know. I'm around. But in the meantime, what do you got, Maverick? You want to come say goodbye?
Yeah.
Yeah? Come say goodbye. Where's your pants?
Baby.
Oh, Grandma took your pants. Okay. This is Maverick saying goodbye. Say goodbye.
Hi.
Hi. Frank has got 3 new book titles. They are Texar Canada. What's the first one? I can't remember what the first one. Syrup and Coffee, Texar Canada, and I'd love to be a guest on your show, Chris. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to sign off. Thanks very much, everybody, for hanging out, and look forward to seeing you guys all on Monday, or seeing you this weekend if we do a thing then. But in the interim, keep creating. Have a good time. There we go. Thanks, everyone. Bye for now.